I'm Lin 老师. A very warm welcome to this Chinese language and culture show. Before we start viewing countless wonderful moments of the show, we shall take a look at its stage and have an overview of China, especially its tradition and modern development. Let's begin from two Chinese characters, 中国. Its literary meaning is the Middle Kingdom, but it does not mean that the Asian Chinese are self-centered or self-important. Rather, they keep an attitude of moderation and never going to extremes. In the Asian classics, there are also sayings like 中国经师也, 诸夏中国也. 中国 here refers to the area under the direct rule of the emperor, or the region inhabited by the Huaxia people, namely Chinese. Here, I'd like to ask you a question. Why is 中国 called China in English? You may tell me, so easy because of China, the white porcelain. That's right. China is transliteration of Changnan, the Asian name of Jingdezheng. China, Changnan, China, Changnan sound similar. Changnan is a town famous for its fine white porcelain. 中国 is one of the earlier countries to make porcelain in the world. Apart from the four great inventions, white porcelain is regarded as one of the most important inventions in Chinese history. However, this is not the only answer. Some scholars hold that China is the pronunciation of Qin. China, Qin, China, Qin sound similar too. Qin is a dynasty established in the first centralized, unified, multi-ethnic feudal state in Chinese history. The dynasty is also well known for beginning the construction of the Great Wall and the enormous mausoleum with terracotta warrior army. The army includes 8,000 vivid, life-size pottery figures, horses, and chariots. It is the eighth wonder of the world. Others believe that the word China originated from the Chinese pronunciation of Si, namely silk. It makes sense too. Being a Chinese invention, silk is produced and used in China for a long period of time. It has a look and feeling of richness that no other fabric can match. Liu Che, the seventh emperor of the Han Dynasty, established Zhang Qian twice as his envoys to the western regions and pioneered the route known as the Silk Road from Chang'an, today's Xi'an, to the east coast of the Mediterranean Sea. From then on, China's silk was exported via this route to the West. From this picture, we can see the prosperity of trade along the Silk Road in the ancient China. Tea and rice also are considered to have something to do with the name of China. The former Chinese tea, cha, is known the world over 1,000 years and has always been an important export. The latter, rice, is staple for Chinese. China is the world's largest rice-growing country. Do you know this grandpa in the picture on the right? He is Yuan Longping, known as the father of hybrid rice. Today, half of China's rice plants are his special hybrid rice. Why is Zhongguo called China? Actually, there are always different answers. Just like people's idea on Chinese culture are always varies and changing. But some facts about China remain unchanged. Let's first know some of them. The People's Republic of China is situated in Eastern Asia and on the western shore of the Pacific Ocean. It covers a land area of 9.6 million square kilometers. China shares common borders with 14 countries. Is your country among them? The capital city of the country is Beijing, which has hosted 2008 Summer Olympic Games and is going to hold 2022 Olympic Winter Games. There are 4 municipalities directly under central government administration, 23 provinces, 5 autonomous regions, and 2 special administrative regions, namely Hong Kong and Macau. China is a unified and multi-ethnic country. It has 56 ethnic groups, among which the Han people accounts for about 90% of the total population of 1.4 billion. Let's take a look at climate. China has a climate dominated by dry seasons and wide monsoons. There are clear temperature differences in winter and summer. In winter, the temperature is low because of cold and dry winds coming from high latitude areas. It snows in northern cities such as Beijing, Urumqi, and Harbin. In summer, because of wind from sea, areas in the south are hot and moist. Temperature is extremely high in cities such as Shanghai, Wuhan, and Haikou. Given the size and varied landscape of the country, there is no one season when weather is ideal in every part of China. So an experienced local guide like me is important if you have a plan to visit us. China's economy is relatively backward before 1980. After 4 decades development, now it has become one of the world's major economic powers with the greatest potential. From the graph, you can also learn that China's GDP now has increased 200 times since 1980. That is really not easy. And the overall living standard has reached that of a fairly well-off society. However, in terms of economy, China is still a young country and a typical developing country. We are still working hard on better off. Let's move to politics. The highest organ of state power is NPC, the National People's Congress, 人民代表大会. It represents the people and all levels of people's congresses and supervises all state-level institutions. The State Council, which is the chief administrative body, includes the heads of all governmental agencies. The ruling party is Chinese Communist Party, 中国共产党, which has successfully celebrated its 100th anniversary last year. But it's not the only political party in China. There are other 8 democratic parties, such as China Democratic League, 九三 Society, China Public Interest Party, and so on. The CCP cooperates with them in discussing the state affairs. As we have known, China is the world's third largest country after Russia and Canada. The Yangtze River serves as dividing line between the north and the south. There are quite differences in natural conditions, geographical features, or people's living customs. Now, let us do some guessing game and find out the difference between the north and the south. Look at this picture. Can you tell whether they are in the north or in the south? It's a bit difficult, right? Well, let me explain. Actually, in Chinese winter, most areas are cold and dry. However, in most of northern cities, there is unified heating system. Then it will be warm in the indoor areas. But in the south, it will be cold, even indoors, unless AC is turned on. So the left is referred to the south and the right, the north. Do you get it right? And least, north or south? Noodles and rice are staple food for most Chinese. However, wheat is grown in the north, while the south has suitable area for wet rice cultivation. Then, in general, southerners prefer eating rice, whereas northerners noodles. Do you know what is Lin Lao's favorite staple food? The answer is I prefer noodles, but I'm a southerner. There is always an exception. If you have heard of Chinese idiom 南船北马, its literal meaning is north horse and south ship. You can get the answer. In ancient China, ships are the main means of transportation in the south, and horses in the north. The reason is self-evident that the south is with abundant rainfall and dense river network. In the north, the climate is arid with extensive grasslands. In addition to providing milk and meat products, horses have been domesticated by the North people and become a means of transportation. And what about this one? Let me give you some tips. Normally, the north is dry and cold, and the building walls are thick and warm, while the south is humid and hot. So the building pays attention to drainage and ventilation. Besides, because of vast area in the north, every family has its own courtyard and yard will be encircled with high walls. In the south, houses are generally built along the water. The courtyard design does not include high walls and is basically open. So here, the left one is referred to the north, while the right one, the south. As a country with a history of more than 5,000 years, China is rich in civilization and culture. In addition to the Great Wall, porcelain, silk mentioned above, what best represents China? How much do you know about symbols of China? Please come along with me. First of all, Changjiang. In China, there are more than 1,500 rivers, each drain 1,000 square kilometers or larger areas. The Yangtze River, as long as 6,300 kilometers, is the longest river in China. The river flows through 10 provinces with over 700 branches. It flows through the major industrialized area in China and forms the most densely populated delta. Undoubtedly, the Yangtze River is the lifeline of the Chinese nation and one of the most important symbols. Then Huanghe, or the Yellow River, is China's second largest river. As the most heavily silt-laden river in the world, the Yellow River got its name from the mildness of its water. The catchment area of the river is an important base for grains in China. Thousands of years ago, Chinese civilization emerged from the central region of this basin. The river is said to be the cradle of Chinese civilization and is regarded as the mother river of the whole Chinese nation. Besides the river, there are lots of famous mountains in China, including Taishan in the east, Hengshan in the south, Huashan in the west, Hengshan in the north, and Songshan in the center of China. They are called 5 sacred mountains, 五岳 in Chinese. Mount Taishan, which snakes through central Shandong province, is admired by Chinese as paramount among them. It rises abruptly to 1,300 meters above the vast plain of North China. The sharp contrast between the mountain and its surrounding plain and hills made it especially majestic. Taishan is a symbol of loftiness and grandeur, characterized by numerous old and still green pines and the ever-changing seas of cloud. The mountain has extremely rich cultural heritage. It bears unique testimony to the civilization of Imperial China, most particularly in relation to their religion, arts, and letters. Zijingcheng, the Forbidden City, Zijingcheng, also known as the Palace Museum, lies in the city center of Beijing and was home to 24 emperors and their families. It's the largest, best preserved Asian timber-built palace complex in the world. It acted as ceremonial and political center of Asian Chinese government throughout 500 years. After the last emperor of China left the palace, it became a museum open to the public. Now the Forbidden City is no longer forbidden, and ordinary people are able to take a virtual trip in time to see the secret and luxury of imperial life. Luckily, I have been there for 4 to 5 times and still looking forward to visiting it once again. And next is Kung Fu. Kung Fu. For Chinese, Kung Fu is not only a way to practice physical exercise, but also include philosophy and aesthetics. There are many kinds of Kung Fu in China, such as Shaolin, Yongchun, Tai Chi, and so on. It's the crystallization of Chinese wisdom and the embodiment of Chinese traditional culture. When talking about Kung Fu, we cannot help thinking of Bruce Lee, a Chinese international movie star. He is not only an amazing martial artist, but he possesses genuine superstar charisma. He leaves behind a handful of classic Kung Fu movies. I have watched some of them more than a dozen times. 饺子, is a Chinese folk food with a long history. Eating jiaozi is also a unique folk tradition of Chinese people during the Spring Festival. In the customs of many Han regions, staying up on New Year's Eve to eat dumpling is an important feast that cannot be replaced by any delicacies. It indicates bidding farewell to the old and ushering in the new, 辞旧迎新. When making dumplings, people often put brown sugar, peanuts, dates, chestnut, or corn into the stuffing. Do you know why? Actually, it's with best wishes of the host. Those who eat brown sugar will have a sweeter day in the coming year. Those who eat peanuts will live a long and healthy life. Those who eat dates and chestnuts will give birth to their child early, and those who eat coins will have endless wealth. Giant panda probably is the most famous animal in China. It's treated as national treasure. People all over the world like them very much because they are cute and lovely. Now, many pandas have been sent to other countries as a bond of friendship.
2018年7月25日，这是个特别的日子。这一天，我和妹妹作为第一对野外引种诞生的熊猫龙凤胎，一起来到了这个美丽的世界。这是我们的爸爸妈妈，妈妈是人工圈养的大熊猫草草，也是地地道道的功夫熊猫。它可拥有咬合力700磅的牙齿，极快的奔跑速度。而我的爸爸，虽然他动作比较慢，但可是野外大熊猫。
虽然我们平均寿命不过几十年，但我们的老祖宗始熊猫可以追溯到约800万年前的中新世晚期哟。我们的老邻居猛犸叔叔、河狸兄弟因为古大陆分裂消失了，铲齿虎和短面熊们没有扛过恶劣的气候，只有我们活了下来。即使这样，目前全世界各地我们的兄弟姐妹也才2300余位，大部分生活在中国的四川、陕西和甘肃的相邻地区。中国不仅是我们老祖宗的祖籍地，也是我们现在的家园，所以我们是名副其实的中国熊猫。
我们来自中国，但被全世界人民所喜爱。我们50多个兄弟姐妹作为国宝，被邀请在海外的18个国家交流旅居。我爷爷的爷爷的爷爷的爷爷，在唐朝时期就曾经被女王武则天作为国礼送给海外。我们家族也算得上资深的外交大使了。现在我们的兄弟姐妹也作为研究对象，与全世界最聪明的人类们一起，为大熊猫的保护以及物种的多样性研究做出贡献呢。而且我们还是全世界小朋友最亲密的伙伴，越来越多的人因为我们更加了解中国，更加爱上中国。
Are there pandas in the zoo of your country? Have you seen pandas before? In China, the biggest nature park for pandas is in Sichuan province. There are about 150 pandas living happily in the park. Above are basic facts and cultural symbols about China. I hope you will put it in your must-visit list. Because of breathtaking landscape, wonderful people, incredible food, rich history. If you have made up your mind, do not forget, I will wait for you in Hangzhou. This is the end of this section, and I will come back soon.